Hey there, Will Marshall here, back with another video today looking at Apple's new Magic Keyboard for the iPad Pro, first and second generation new iPad Pro models. So yeah, they announced this back in March 2020 along with the most recent iteration of the iPad Pros, and they started shipping it in May. I hope in a week or so's time I'm going to kind of get to use it for a little bit and then give some, I guess, some more detailed feedback on how I feel it works with the iPad and how I feel it fits in, and does it answer the big question? Does it make it a better productivity focused device? Does it make it more of a laptop replacement? Dare we say those words? Let's start with a little bit of background here. So I've been an iPad fan for a number of years. I bought the original iPad back in 2010. This was back in the early days. Steve Jobs announced it. It was all very new and fresh. It was a brand new design. No one's seen much like it before, I think, and so I bought into it at that point. But I don't think it really lived up to the promise back in those days. The iPad, it had like a very limited selection of apps in the App Store. There were some great first-party offerings from Apple at the time, but a lot of third-party apps hadn't really grown at that point. Still the App Store itself was still in its infancy with the iPhone, and of course that was growing massively as well. But over the years, it has grown. I mean, into this huge force that it is now for the sort of media consumption area. That's what I think the iPads themselves really excel at, right? So yeah, it's become kind of the king of the media consumption device over the years, the iPad. And of course, latterly, Apple have introduced their iPad Pro line, their kind of more power user line, with the inclusion of an Apple Pencil, the stylus, which was I guess famously Steve Jobs always said in the early days, who needs a stylus?
Who wants a stylus? You have to get them and put them away, and you lose them. Yuck.
They did bring out a stylus, yeah, and that's been a really great addition to, I think, a lot of creatives over the years. I think it's brought in a whole new generation of creative professionals who have used the iPads to do some amazing stuff. But I think one area that the iPad Pro really has kind of lacked, and where sort of other sort of ultra portable devices like the Surface line, the Surface Go 2, I reviewed quite recently. That was a sort of great flexible ultra portable device, but one area the iPad can't really compete with those like a Windows style tablet is in the productivity side, right? I think it really kind of falls behind there. And I think a lot of that has always been to do with the limitations in iOS in many ways. But over the last couple of years, Apple have really made a concerted effort to improve iOS and to improve the feature set in there. So back in iOS 11, we first had the introduction of the Files app, a proper file explorer in iOS, which was great. iOS 13 came along, merging, separating iOS 13 out into iOS 13 and iPadOS. This year they've released the iOS 13.4 release, which has got this baked-in support for mouse support and pointer support, which is obviously in line with when they released this device. So there's a lot going on there, and Apple have really been pushing forward to kind of try and blur the lines between the Mac computer line and the iPad, making it as productivity or as close to a computer-like experience as you can get, whilst maintaining its history, its pedigree as the king of the consumer-focused tablets. But yeah, enough of that. So this is the iPad's Magic Keyboard for the 11-inch iPad. I've got an 11-inch iPad Pro. So yeah, first impressions of the box. It's pretty standard Apple unboxing experience. Very sleek lines. It's quite heavy. Definitely the first thing that struck me when I picked this up was kind of the weight sitting behind this keyboard. I've been waiting to do this all day. It turned up this morning, but I haven't touched the unboxing yet. So let's just go ahead and peel back the satisfying film experience. There we go. Not very neat, but yeah, let's get this all down here. So yeah, take off the film. There we go. Right, the case looks pretty decent there. So that's the iPad Magic Keyboard in its box. So a few notes about the keyboard as I'm unboxing it. So it's probably most famous for having this kind of quite unique floating hinge design, which we'll see in a second. That's the lid. Not much going on there. So let's lift the case out. Okay, actually, you lose a fair bit of heft actually in that transfer. So I think there's probably a fair bit of weight just in this Apple presentation box. So here we go. Right. Okay, the film's here. Let's get rid of the films. You say unwrap it. Right, and here we go. This is Apple's new sort of iPad Pro Magic Keyboard. This fake iPad-like structure in there. Okay, so inside this is the film that sits inside the sleeve that sits inside the iPad Magic Keyboard. Okay, so you get some documentation in here, throwing things about like an idiot. So you get a few bits of documentation here, sort of explaining how to attach the iPad to the keyboard itself. And then yeah, that's kind of it. Okay, right. So having unboxed the device now, let's take a quick look around it and see what we can make of it on first impressions. So let's start with the form factor and the feel of it. So this is kind of using that same rubber finish that the original iPad Pro Folio keyboard used. It's got, it's not a horrible thing to touch. It feels fairly sturdy. It's got kind of a rugged feel to it. It's not much of a premium feel, I have to say, but I think in terms of like the rugged nature of being able to lob this into a backpack or something, I think it's going to withstand that wear and tear much more easily than say like a leather finish or like an Alcantara finish maybe that maybe looks and feels a little more premium. But I think for a rugged look, it's okay. It's it's very similar. It is quite weighty, as we said before. It's got like a bit of heft to it. And the base in particular is quite heavy. If you open this out now, this is kind of the main sort of key aspects of this device really. So here you go. So the main thing here is the hinge. This hinge is quite a sort of unique design. It allows the iPad to sort of float when it's attached magnetically to the top. So if we bring this up, it sort of snaps quite satisfyingly into place here. You've got a fairly limited range of angles, to be honest, in terms of where you can position the iPad. So it goes from the front bit here forward all the way back to kind of this angle here. So I mean, I'd like to have seen it go a little bit further back. I mean, perhaps we can understand why they've done it, just to try and distribute the weight a bit better. But yeah, it'd be nice to see that go a little bit further back. But in terms of the it feels really sturdy actually, the hinge. One of the things, the one thing that the first impression you get from this is it's well built. You can't expect that from Apple products, but it's certainly a much better built product than the original iPad Pro Folios that you can also get without the trackpad as well. So that's nice there. On the edge here, you've got a USB-C port which you can use to charge the device. It doesn't handle data, unfortunately, so it's only for sort of power delivery into the device. You still have to kind of attach any dock or any dongles you've got to the iPad via its own USB-C port on the side. But at least that means you can charge the device here whilst not worrying about that, which is a nice touch. Also, I guess you haven't got a trailing cable off the side of the screen, which looks yuck. So moving on further down, here we go. We've got the keyboard, the nice, fairly good sized keyboard here. I mean, the keys are a little bit smaller than what you would expect on a full size laptop, but yeah, they're pretty good, and they all come with the latest generation scissor switches keys that you can find on the MacBook Pro line and the MacBook Air these days. So they've got this nice satisfying sort of 1mm travel, and they do make a nice satisfying feel. It's not the best travel in the world, but it's certainly better than what you had on what the folio case that the iPad used to come with. The iPad Pro used to be kind of bought with from Apple. So it's a much better experience there. It's also a much better typing experience than the butterfly switch keys on my MacBook Air. Moving on a bit further down, you've got the trackpad, nice size here, not as cavernous maybe as the trackpads are on the MacBook Pros and the MacBook Air, but they've got limited space to work with here. And they do use the space well. Actually, it's a good size for what it is. It's not a diving board trackpad like on the Surface Go, so you can click anywhere on the trackpad here and erase for a click, no problem. That's really nice. It's a really premium feel. The whole thing does feel like a device sort of worthy of the Apple brand, I suppose. One thing that is quite nice as well actually is you haven't got a row of function keys at the top, which would have been really nice to see. So you're going to be missing out on things like that, sort of like a quick brightness setting or a quick volume slider, that sort of thing. That's all missing. You're also missing an escape key, which is a bit of a shame. But yeah, apart from that, that's kind of really all there is to it. Let's attach it up. See what it feels like. So it's sort of the magnet attaches it there on the hinge, and it sort of floats in place like this. Kind of quite unique floating style. And it does look, when you actually look at it front on at first, it's quite a unique feel, right? To be looking at the keyboard, and it gives it this impression that it is floating above the keyboard, which is really nice. So yeah, I mean, again, I want to get involved with how I would use the trackpad and use the keyboard better with iPad OS. I've used a mouse on iPad OS before, but I haven't sort of used the trackpad. I feel the gestures here kind of lend themselves to navigating around the iPad OS operating system more so than they do on Mac OS, and I find them quite useful there as well. So that's something I want to get involved with. But yeah, it's a good, it's a nice looking keyboard cover, really, isn't it? Let's be honest. It's yeah, and I think it should be for how much it costs. So I haven't mentioned the price yet. These devices are expensive. They are very pricey. So There's no other way to say this. So the 11-inch model that I've got here that fits the 11-inch iPad Pro starts at £299. That's for the 11-inch version. Then you kick it up to the 12.9-inch version, that's going to set you back £349. So yeah, they're expensive. They're eye-wateringly expensive if you think about it, really. So for the 11-inch model I've got here, for £30 more, you can actually buy an iPad itself. The original, the low-cost iPad costs £329. So that's kind of what you're dealing with here. It's a really premium product to go with a premium iPad, I suppose. It is paired with these iPad Pros right now. So yeah, that is kind of the top of Apple's line. It is expensive. That's probably the biggest elephant in the room, really, when it comes to discussing this. It's a nice looking product, feels great. I think practically it's going to be great to use, but that price is going to be a real sticking point for a lot of people. And I think it really this thing has to deliver on lots of levels to kind of to even justify that price point. So that's a really important thing that I want to dig into in my full review. So that's probably about it for now. This is a quick unboxing video. So here we go. Yeah. So this is the iPad Pro's Magic Keyboard for the new and previous generation iPad Pros, released just this year. So that's great. Please do leave some comments below in the comments section if you have any questions about the keyboard itself, about the and also any sort of things you might want to see when I do a full review, anything you might want to know about. I'll be more than happy to kind of answer those and to take those into account when I do my full review. If you like what you see on the channel, please do like this video, and please do hit subscribe, and the little bell notification will let you know when I release more videos. I've got a few more ideas lined up in the pipeline, various things, not just unboxings, not just sort of reviews, but some kind of more left field, some more interesting things on tech that I want to talk about, which would be all good. So hopefully if you're keen to see that, please do sign up and follow me. Okay, that's it. I'll wrap it up there. So everyone look after yourselves, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.